Good morning. Hi, guys. Sorry, I am 3 minutes late. I apologize for that. I wanted to pop in this morning for a couple of things. First of all, I should say this is Lauren Bellin, one of your gold leaders, here with Essentially Powerful, and obviously the gal running this intensive this week. If you're popping on, let me know that you're watching and where you are joining us from. I'm popping in this morning good morning, Rachel, to let you know about a giveaway that I'm going to do today, and also to let you know about just a couple of key distinctions that I want to highlight with the Art of Asking and Amanda Palmer today, and just the work that we're doing today. And then also to address a concern that I know some of you are probably having right about now. All right, so the giveaway, I'm not going to make you wait. I'm going to tell you right off the bat with the giveaway. So I really want people to take on the growth work today of risking rejection. If you haven't taken a peek yet, take a peek at post number 3 of 3. Everything is linked up in the manifest. All of the posts are current in there. So if it's easier to find your way through, just click into the manifest and look at post 3 of 3 today. Post 3 of 3 today offers some ideas from one of my favorite books, TED Talks, blogs, writers. He started this project, 100 Days of Rejection, and he has all sorts of ideas about rejection therapy, and basically went through this incredible process of risking rejection very intentionally every single day, and continued to do it even after his 100 days was up. It's this gentleman who had just a debilitating fear of rejection, and this is how he overcame it and discovered a lot of interesting things about what happens when you think you're going to be rejected and you're willing to risk it. And sometimes you don't get rejected, and sometimes you do get rejected, and something really amazing happens as a result of the rejection. You just never know. So I want us to get playful today. And I know sometimes adults forget how to be playful. And with this kind of subject, it can be hard to be playful. So we're going to take this outside of our, Jane. Yeah, it's fun. So we're going to take this outside of our Young Living business today, because I actually just want you to play with rejection a little bit. And you can use the list that I posted. You can use the linked website from that post for inspiration and ideas. But I just want everybody to try making a request today of somebody, and have it be feel free to make the most ludicrous request you can think of. Something that you are certain, it doesn't actually have to end up being rejected. You never know what's going to happen. But something that you are certain the person you're asking is going to say no to. Just that you know you're going to be flat out rejected. Some of my favorites from that list are asking a stranger to borrow $100, going into a Krispy Kreme and asking that they make donuts in the shape of and color of the Olympic rings, which actually they ended up doing for him. He has to make his own Subway sandwich at Subway, and he also asked if he could deliver a college lecture, and ended up delivering a college lecture as a result. You just never know what's going to happen when you make a wild request of somebody. So if anybody has ideas already about what they're going to ask for, post them in the comments. If you're like, what the heck? Why are we doing this? Feel free to post an emoji, like a head scratcher. If this is a head scratcher for you, let me know that too. But I want everybody to just get playful with rejection today. And so I have something special set aside, and I'm going to read through people's sharing and stories about how they risk rejection today. And whichever one tickles me the most, inspires me the most, somethings me the most, I'll choose from the comments that we get in that thread. And that person will get a special surprise from me in the mail in the next week or two. All right. So, and I'll share with you guys, I've done this kind of stuff in my own life. I, years ago, set up to have a year of new adventures, and did things like set myself up. I have not the best singing voice. Well, I don't think it's the best singing voice. I've been told by others that it's okay, but I have fears around it. So I sang on a street corner. I sang My Girl on a street corner in Birmingham, Alabama, while a friend of mine videotaped it, and posted it to the internet years and years ago. It's powerful when we just take a risk, step into something, and just ask. I mean, Jane, if you're sick, I love that. You're sick. I love that you're not saying I'm sick, so I can't I want to do this, but I'm sick. I love that you're using kind of an and way of thinking. So you're saying I'm super sick, staying away from the public, but Facebook is operating. Like Facebook is there. There are always ways to kind of, to do what you need to do, no matter what your constraints. So I love that you're using and thinking and you're going to take this on. And if you're watching and you are going to take this on, even if you don't know what you're going to do yet to risk rejection, just go ahead and put an I'm in the comments and let me know that you're in and you're going to take this challenge. Okay, so now that I have shared with you about the giveaway, I want to also highlight and clarify a couple of things that I have found come up on day 2 that some of you might be thinking. Some of you may well be wondering right now, and I will say especially if you've got a lot of red or a lot of green in you, this is about the time where you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, but what are we going to do? All this reflection is great, but it's not filling my calendar. And it's not putting butts in seats for events. So like mindset's awesome, but what are we going to do? So, Kristen Ashley actually asked something very much along these lines. I'm going to read her question that she posted today, and I will also share with you my answer to her before we dig in. Then we're going to dig into a couple of things from Amanda Palmer as well. So Kristen said, I couldn't agree more with every one of your words, but still, I don't seem to know exactly what to change about the way I ask. Do you think it's a physical change in the wording and techniques? Or do you think it has to do with our initial mindset when we ask, that instead of being afraid we are annoying or bugging, think of it as allowing them to learn about an opportunity? Does that make sense? So first of all, yes, it does make sense. Hi, Kristen. Good. You're here. I am red and green too, so I feel you. Like, I know I'm red and green, and I don't actually have that much blue or yellow in me, and I have to work at it to speak yellow and blue. So I feel you. I would be in exactly the same thinking right now if I were taking part and didn't know where this was all going. So what I said to Kristen was, you don't need to change anything right now. We're not yet in the doing stage. We are just in the absorbing and reflecting stage. And yes, mindset is absolutely what we're shooting for right now. Pretty much everything we did yesterday and everything we do today is all about mindset. And that's basically because tomorrow, when we do our Zoom workshop, we're actually going to be doing the work. We're going to be working. I said to her, oh yes, we will be working during our Zoom workshop. We're going to be on the same page about what it is that we're up to, and all of the questions, concerns, hesitations, like we're already going to have dealt with them in days 1 and 2, so that we can just bang out the work and really start setting up our blitz. What I found when I first started coaching people to do an event blitz themselves, like I had a lot of success doing it, and there were some things that I was automatically incorporating based on my previous life experiences and based on work I've done on myself and my own mindset professionally, personally, over the years, that they were just automatic to me. And I realized a lot of other people, when I was trying to coach them to do an event blitz, were getting stopped even before the work of it, even before the events themselves. They weren't ever getting to the events. And what I found was there were a few things happening. People were too afraid of rejection to ask powerfully or at all. People were too unable to receive help to be able to ask honestly for what they wanted and specifically for what they wanted. People were playing too small to ask enough people to make the event blitz successful, or people were feeling rejected and hurt if someone said no or didn't respond, and then that was stopping them from asking more people. And with an event blitz, part of the deal is you have to ask a lot of people. It's not a blitz if you don't. it's not going to happen if we're asking 1 or 2 people. So I hope that kind of clarifies for those of you who feel like, so basically before we even get started, I just wanted to take care of all of that. Like I said, an event blitz, like the way to do it, the actual work of it, it's simple. It's not complicated. But if it's this simple, if you just really openly, honestly, confidently, and vulnerably ask a lot of people to host events for you in a way that inspires some of them to say yes, because they've been turned on to some new possibility. Like, that's all it is. That's all the work is. That's all we're going to be doing. Yes, there's, logistics of running all the events and, setting up Facebook events for them and RSVPs and all that, whatever. That's all good. But the actual thing of it that creates the blitz, like the work of creating the blitz, that's easy. That's easy, you guys. But if it's such a simple thing, like, why do so few people do it? Everybody, like all of the execs on the EP team were able to listen to Chelsea Bruno give a talk about how she added 100,000 in volume in her group, and it was an event blitz. And only a couple of us said, okay, I'm just going to go do that. And I think the reason is because it is such a simple thing, but the mindset piece and the growth work and the fears that we have to kind of go through, the feeling of nausea we have, some of us, I still have to do it. Like, you guys will see tomorrow when we do it, I'll be right in there doing it with you. I'll be asking for people to host events for me too, for my blitz this fall. And I know it. I mean, maybe I won't. I'm open to the possibility that I won't have this experience this time, but every single time I do it, no matter how many times I do it, I still feel a little like throwing up every time. So we are just trying to get our head right so that we can do the work, embrace the discomfort, and just be in it tomorrow in our workshop. All right. So that said, and Kristen, since you're here, does that kind of address your worries about what you should be doing right now versus kind of the reflection mindset piece? Hopefully it does, and hopefully if there are any other reds and greens listening right now, it will also speak to you and kind of allay your concerns. I promise you we will be taking action tomorrow. Tomorrow is all about action. Okay, so Amanda Smith not Amanda Smith, that's one of our EP leaders, Amanda Palmer and the Art of Asking. So I really want to highlight just 3 short paragraphs and break them down a little bit more than I did in the written posts. And also I know some people just absorb better in this format than they do in the written posts. So I'm going to read 3 paragraphs, just 3, and then break it down because there is so much. It's like everything is in these 3 paragraphs. I just think she does such an amazing job. And I don't want anyone to miss any of these little pieces. Yes, Kristen, hold on. Yeah, go ahead. Can you clarify something? What do you want to clarify? Go ahead and ask. I might not answer it right now. I might come back to it in a few minutes because I'm going to pop through this piece with Amanda Palmer. But go ahead and ask for the clarification, and I'll answer you. So Amanda Palmer says, American culture in particular has instilled in us the bizarre notion that to ask for help amounts to an admission of failure. But some of the most powerful, successful, admired people in the world seem to me to have something in common. They ask constantly, creatively, compassionately, and gracefully. And to be sure, when you ask, there's always the possibility of a no on the other side of the request. If we don't allow for that no, we're not actually asking. We are either begging or demanding. But it is the fear of no that keeps so many of our mouths sewn tightly shut. Often it is our own sense that we are undeserving of help that has immobilized us. Whether it's in the arts, at work, in our relationships, we often resist asking, not only because we're afraid of rejection, but because we don't even think we deserve what we're asking for. We have to truly believe in the validity of what we're asking for, which can be incredibly hard work and requires a tightrope walk above the doom valley of arrogance and entitlement. And even after finding that balance, how we ask and how we receive the answer, allowing, even embracing the no, is just as important as finding that feeling of validness. Okay, so first, we equate asking for help with failure. And if you're a giver, Brene Brown, I just want to remind you, wants you to know that your reluctance to receive probably means that you're actually unaware of the judgments you have toward the people you are giving to. And I think that's really important because so often I hear from yellows, especially, this is a big yellow thing. So if you're yellow, if you've got a lot of yellow in you, I want you to listen up. If you are someone who has the mindset of, oh, I'm happy to give, but I have a hard time receiving, then you are somebody, you like to help people. And I know this about you because every yellow I've ever met likes to help people. But here's the deal. I know you, and you also don't want to be in judgment of other people. So what I want to let you know is that if you are unable and unwilling to receive help, there is a judgment that you have attached to the act of receiving help. And there is a judgment that you have of the very people that you are helping in your beautiful yellowness. So I want you to look at that for yourself. And I want you to look at learning to receive as a way of actually enhancing your ability to be a giver, and to be a giver in a more authentic and heart-centered way, which it's a little counterintuitive. And if it doesn't make sense, let me know. But that's something that I'm really present to, is that it's a very different thing to give to somebody in a way that is free of judgment, to give to somebody as an equal, than it is to give to somebody with pity, or to give to somebody with judgment. It's different. And so I'd like you to look at that for yourself. If that's kind of your mindset, that it's hard for you to receive because you're more comfortable giving, just consider that. Second piece that she talks about here, successful people ask, and they do it not just constantly. So I think constantly is important, right? And this applies to our business. Gina, yes, exactly, right? It's so counterintuitive, but it's so right there once you see it. I totally get this. And I will say too, I'm not a yellow, but I am way more comfortable giving than receiving. And I feel like my karma in this lifetime has been to learn how to ask and receive, because my life with my son and parenting my son, there have been times where it's brought me to my knees, and where I have had to ask. And I've had to receive much more than I ever wanted to. And it made me present to the different ways in which others give to me. I've felt so many different ways of being given to. And so I think it's changed the way I give to others. When I give to others now, it's a very different giving to others than it was 10 years ago. Okay, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. So if you look at leaders in our business, they are constantly prospecting, they are constantly adding people to their teams, they are constantly asking others to host for them, they are constantly asking their builders to step into leadership. There's an asking that is happening all the time. But it's done, right? It doesn't always even feel like you're being asked something from them, because there's creativity involved, there's compassion, there's grace. I think the reality is that we need to exercise this muscle. We really need this skill. And I think we need it in all areas of our life. I think so often I talk to, and this is, I think men and women do this, but I think women are more often more guilty of it in relationships where we want someone to know what it is that we need. And so we are always hoping they're going to read our mind. And instead, we could just creatively, compassionately, gracefully ask for what we want and need. This is really important. The next piece that I want to make sure you're really getting from what she's saying is that there is always the possibility of a no on the other side of the request. And she says, if we don't allow for the no, we're not actually asking. We're begging, we're demanding. We are expecting something. We're going into it with expectations. And so it's this fine line. It's this delicate dance, right? Where we need to be able to make this radical commitment that whether someone says yes, when you ask, when you make a request of somebody, they're going to do one of four things, okay? 1, they're going to say yes. 2, they're going to say no. 3, they're going to make a counter offer. And an example of that that's contextual would be if I ask somebody to host an event for me in October, they might come back and say, you know what, October's a mess for me. Can I do something in November? That's a counteroffer. Or number 4, you might actually hear crickets. They might never answer you. And we'll talk about all of that. But it's like you need to make a radical commitment in your bones that you are not going to take it personally, that it will not damage your relationship no matter what they say. Like when you make a request, if you're making a truly powerful request, if you're asking somebody in this context of like the art of asking, you are doing it in a way that there is nothing that person could say in response that would damage the relationship. There is no response to the request, none, that will damage the relationship with you. That is the source and the come from for a powerful ask. You've got to know it in your bones, and you've got to learn to convey it to people. And I will tell you, I think that it's why I've been able to say to people in my life around these event blitzes, would you open your home to friends, family, colleagues to learn more about essential oils and non-toxic living? I've said to them, I'm inches from a milestone that will solidify my ability to keep being at home so that I can meet my kids' needs, so that I can help keep Kai out of the hospital. If I know someone well, they know me well enough that it's implicit that I'm not going to take it personally if they say no. And if they don't know me well enough, I actually will go ahead and say, by the way, no, like I am so good with people saying no. And I invite you to say that if that's the right answer for you. I will specifically invite that. I don't assume they're going to say no. I never assume it, and I don't downplay and I don't sort of minimize my request, but I do make the space for people to say no. And I promise them that it's going to be okay with me and that it won't hurt us. And I think sometimes people get a little confused about that piece of it, that we focus on the outcome instead of the asking. All right, so we don't ask. Another piece of this is in these 3 little paragraphs that contain so many nuggets. We don't ask because we're terrified of no. We equate it with rejection. Because again, it's this whole mindset piece. We're focused on getting a yes from somebody instead of giving somebody an opportunity to say yes, no, or make a counteroffer. It's that simple, right? We are focused on getting something from them. And that's where the fear of rejection comes from. That's where the attachment comes from. If we're trying to get something from them, then we're going to fail if they say no. Our failure and our success is suddenly linked to how they answer us. Our sense of whether we did it right is linked to what they say. That's out of our control. That's not the way we need to do it. So we really, we need to be very clear about this. If we're wedded to yes, then we are indeed. I love that she spells this out. If you are wedded to yes, and if a no is going to damage the relationship and you're going to take it personally and you're going to sulk and feel hurt and be, in a corner, blaming that person for you losing your ability to do your Young Living business because they popped your balloon, right? If that's where you are not asking, you are begging, you are demanding. It is needy. That's different. Needy and begging and demanding is a completely different thing than asking powerfully. It's completely different than being vulnerable. It is a whole other thing entirely. So I want to make sure that everybody is clear on that distinction. Oh, that's a big one. Deservedness. All right. Put a 1 in the comments if you struggle sometimes with feeling like what you're, like you deserve, like it's okay to ask for what you want. Like what you want is something you deserve. Whatever it was that your goal was. Put a 1 in the comments if sometimes you feel like, man, like who am I to ask for that? Who am I to, expect to have a new car or to retire my husband? Like, why should I have that when there are so many people in this world who are suffering? Why am I into, like, why me? Why me? Like if you ever feel that sense of why me and why should I have this? Why is this something I should get or I should get to have? Like, who am I to ask other people to help me have this thing that I want or do this thing that I want? Who am I? Like lots of people don't enjoy their jobs. Who am I to, think that I deserve to enjoy my job when lots of other people just show up every day and punch a clock? Yeah. Deservedness is, here's the deal. I find it very easy to believe that I'm deserving of meeting my basic needs. Hopefully you feel the same. Some people don't some people aren't there. I have people in my life who, how they act and what they create for themselves and what they ask for and what their boundaries are is very clear. They don't even believe that they deserve to have their basic needs met. That's not a struggle for me. I do believe I deserve to meet my basic needs, but I will tell you, it is only very, very recently, and it is after working this business for a few years now, that I have been able to actually find myself thinking, why not me? Why not me? I am just as deserving of success and money and more as anybody else. There is no one person who is more deserving of these things than anyone else. It's just not how it works. And it's not that I'm deserving above anyone else. It's just that there's no reason why I can't be someone for whom things work out. That's so different than the story I grew up with. It's so different than the story I've been telling myself and the narrative that I've had in my head for years. And, the deal is like, you also, it's like, I don't have to do anything or be anything different to be deserving. And I want to share with you, there's a Buddhist meditation for metta, or loving kindness, that I really love. And there are variations of it, but they're all some form of this. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings live with ease. And when you practice metta meditation, you first wish this for yourself. So may I be safe. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I live with ease. You wish it for loved ones. You wish it for friends. You wish it for teachers and mentors. You wish it for enemies and people you're struggling with. You wish it for the whole world of living beings. So I want you to consider that the fact of our humanity and our existence makes us just as deserving as anyone else. And, she also calls out here that feeling confidence and acceptance about our goals and really believing in our bones that we are deserving of reaching them, it is different than feeling entitled to them. And it's a fine line, but I do hope that that distinction is clear and that you can feel deserving without feeling entitled. They are different things. Whew, is that clarifying? Is that helpful? I don't know if I'm making any sense sometimes. I think I am, but I get so into this stuff that I forget the social media skills of asking you guys for your thoughts and your comments, and just throw an emoji in there if this is clarifying, if you're mulling on this, like just where you're at with all of this, if it's helpful. Thanks, Michelle. That's helpful to me. So I also really love the way she concludes these 3 paragraphs, that she talks about how we receive the answer, and she makes it clear that allowing and embracing a no is just as important as your belief in the validity of asking. So it's one thing to go into something with the promise and the mindset of, it's okay to say no to this, but how do you actually, what's your way of being when someone does say no? And are you able to embrace it? And I'll tell you a little secret. I actually feel a little thrill when someone says no. There's a part of me that kind of likes it. And I'll tell you why that is. I've been doing sales and fundraising and development work for a very long time. So I've had a lot of practice with no. And I deeply prefer no to somebody who is thinking about something for 5 years And I so prefer no to someone who doesn't answer me. I have a harder time, we'll talk about that tomorrow, I have a harder time with crickets sometimes than I do with no. But here's how I view asking, and how I view sales, and how I view fundraising, and how I view what we do. I view it almost as a ministry, because what I see myself doing is giving people an opportunity to change their lives, to change my life and contribute to me and my family. And there are people who genuinely want that. And Kristen, sometimes if you just reload, it will help. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but my internet is doing just fine. So I think we're good. And I also monitor and I can see it running on another browser. So I think we're okay. You may just want to watch this part in the replay. That if someone says no, I've done my job, because my job is to equip people with everything they need to make an informed decision. And, you know, that sounds like a lot when it comes to asking someone about hosting an event like that. It's quick, it's easy. It's so easy. And it's so short. But I've asked in a way, and I've asked with a mindset, and I've asked with a come from that's going to land in a really effective way with people. And it's going to give them what they need to be able to say yes, no, or make a counteroffer. And so if someone says, no, I've done my job, I asked, I've done my job. I can celebrate that. I've done my job. They figured out their answer. Hooray. And because I'm not wrapped up in a dozen different stories about why they said no, because I am welcoming of their no, and sometimes I even explicitly invite it, I also end up sometimes deepening the relationship through their no. And sometimes I also find the freedom to ask more questions because I'm really listening. You know, someone said no to me actually this morning about when I invited them to listen to next week's business presentation that Jamie McKenzie is doing on Thursday night. And if you haven't started asking people for that outside of this intensive, you really go for it. Like, you should be inviting people to that. Jamie does an amazing job. But I asked, I got a response from somebody that I had asked yesterday, and she said that, she said no. She wasn't going to go. It wasn't her thing, but that she would be interested if more of her friends could afford it. And because I was listening, because I wasn't wrapped up in me, and this was about her, I asked her if it would make a difference to know that most of the people on my team are people I actually didn't even know before Young Living. And she actually said that would make a difference. And she has a couple of things going on this month, but she'd be curious to come in next month and listen. So, if no was too much for me to handle, I wouldn't be able to hear her because I'd be too busy licking my wounds and sulking in a corner to notice what she was really saying. And alternatively, some people, yeah, Danielle, exactly. I love an honest answer, even if it's no. I actually often, when people say no, if it's a super clear no and there's not anything else to listen for, there's no, like, they're not wrapped up in a story that I can maybe offer insight about, I actually will be like, thank you. I thank people for their no's because, I'm thanking them for their consideration. I let them know that I hear them and I understand and I get what they're saying so that they feel heard and listened to, because I still have that gift to offer. And I just don't make it about me. I wasn't trying to get something from them. I was giving them an opportunity. So, they're not interested in that opportunity right now. So they said no, and that's all it is. All right, let's stop talking at you now. That's a lot. And there's a lot that we're kind of mulling on and incorporating and processing today and yesterday. And I just cannot stress how important it is. I can't stress enough how important it is to keep your vibration up, keep your energy high, especially going into tomorrow. This might be stirring up a lot for you. So take good care of yourself, use your oils, use the playlist. I'm going to add to it later with some of the songs that came in after we got started, and just really, really just nurture yourself really well and be ready for tomorrow. Now, I do want to go back because I know that somewhere in here there was a question. I'm just going to scroll through. Kristen, okay, but are we specifically asking people to host events in tomorrow's Zoom and that's it? And what what kinds of, I think you mean what kinds of events. So sorry to jump ahead. That's the green in you. That is the green in you. That is one of the things we will do on tomorrow's call. We're going to break it down. We're going to be doing a lot on tomorrow's call, but there will be a good chunk of time where we are in the process of actually inviting people to host introductions. An event blitz, you can do an event blitz for anything, as Christy has talked about. And there may be some folks in the group for whom it makes more sense to do an event blitz focused on business presentations. It may be that there are some folks who are really focused on an ER event blitz where they're doing a lot of 102s. The vast majority of people, I'm going to say my recommendation, just based on who I know is in this group participating, is that for the vast majority of us doing introduction events, and we can talk about how you want to phrase it, but I really think right now, keeping it simple for making the request of hosts, that's the foundation of an event blitz. It is all about getting a large number of people to host events for you and getting people who have never hosted for you before. The deal is that it does not take long to run out of your lowest hanging fruit in terms of warm market. We all have a much bigger warm market than we know, and we are always warming up cold markets for ourselves, and we are always getting in connection and in community with new people. But the way to grow this business is to continually be expanding our reach and our visibility. And the way we do that is we put ourselves in front of more and more people. And the way to put yourself in front of more and more people is to ask the people in your network to help you get in front of the people in their lives. That's the way to do it. That's what all the experts say. That's what, Laura Sassiela said the other day. She likes the adage that success leaves a trail of breadcrumbs. And this is one of those breadcrumbs that we're going to pick up. Event blitzes work really, really well. And they've worked really well for me. They've worked really well for other leaders on our team and for other leaders in the company and industry. So that's a big part of it. But we're also going to be doing some work to kind of back into our goals, based on, what your goals are for numbers and volume and all of that. We're going to figure out how many people we need to ask. We're going to make our list of people that we're going to ask. We're just going to do the work of it because a lot of people, and this might not be you as much, Kristen, but I will say I'm red and green, and usually I prefer to just go do something on my own and just get it done. But I will say that for blues and yellows, and even for the reds and greens, all of us are going to be able to accomplish a lot more co-working together on this than we would on our own most of the time. Because there's an accountability and there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. You can't go fool around on Facebook for 10 minutes. It's really just a focused period of time to set up your blitz for October. And there will be some follow-up work on Friday. I'm speaking to the greens now. If you're yellow, if you're blue, if you're red, you can go. I'm done. But for the greens who need more information right now and are feeling like, what are we doing here? I'm going to keep talking for another minute or two. So for you greens on Thursday, there will be a lot of info on the next steps and following up and how to really make sure that you're confirming the dates and setting up your hosts for success. And we will get into all of that. If you haven't already taken a peek, if you are green and you haven't really read through the manifest yet or looked through the resources that are in the Google folder that is linked to in the manifest, you might also find that some of the info in there helps you kind of see where we're going a little bit. So I hope that answers your question, Kristen, rather. I'm just going to scroll through for another minute and see if I've got any more questions I needed to answer. Erica, I don't like it when people don't answer too, but you know what? That is one of the things we need to be open to. Some people are not going to answer. So we just have to decide that that's okay and accept it and welcome it. And also realize we make up stories about that too. Sometimes there's something going on. God, I get so behind in my texts, my emails, and my Facebook messages sometimes. So it is entirely possible that I have not responded to requests other people have made of me in my life. And it has nothing to do with how I value them or what I think or even whether or not I'm willing to do it. Sometimes it's about what's going on with my son. Sometimes it's about what's going on. We just moved. I lost track of some communications while we were moving. You know, we make up stories. But that's one of my challenges, is not making up stories when there are crickets. I hate crickets. Let's see. Freaking out because this is exactly the thing that would speak so loudly to a couple of my friends I want as builders, but I'm also so excited that by the end of this, I will know how to reach out to these people. Oh yeah, you know, Leanne, and I actually said to somebody the other day, I have a friend who this business is so not for her. Like, it's not for her. She's so clear. She may change that someday, but she's clear. And I posted something the other day because I was really blown away when we had over 200 people jump into this. And I posted something on my personal page about that. And she popped in to say, oh, it's going to be amazing. You're going to inspire people. And I was like, Mama, like, can I just tell you, I am not trying to convince you at all, because it's okay with me that you don't want to do this business. But you are someone who I so wish did want to do it, because I would love to have you in here with me because it's so fun. I want to work with you. And I know this stuff would be like right up her alley. Kristen, I shouldn't have such a big goal, is something you said to your upline. She asked you why. And after you thought about it, you realized, why not me? That's the thing. That's the thing. If, you know, it's like, why not you? Why not you? Yeah. All right, good. I think we're good on the questions. So I hope you guys have an amazing day today. I cannot wait to hear your stories of risking rejection. And I can't wait to put something in the mail to one of you, because I love sending happy mail. So I need to go do my IPAs for the day, my income producing activities. So I'm not going to be in the group too much. It's hard for me not to just comment on everything that everyone's saying all day long. But I'm not going to be in the group too much until the evening. So get out there, do your thing, connect with your peeps, and have just an amazing, amazing day. And thanks for sticking with me.